You can know what you want, you can know what you should be doing, but how do you make yourself do it when the feelings and the motivation isn't there? When all you got is fear? And so we make decisions with feelings. 95% of our decisions are made by how you feel in the moment. And that is the problem. You need to take control of the moment and leverage the power of your decisions and make them up here. Do you feel like making that cold call? No, you don't. Do you feel like doing that third set of reps? No, you don't. Do you feel like having that hard conversation? No, you don't. Do you feel like ending this relationship, whether it's in business or in your life, that is sucking you dry? No, you don't. We make decisions based on our feelings, and that is robbing you of joy and opportunity. And it is blinding you from the fact that how you change your life is one 5-second decision at a time. One push at a time. And if you accept the fact that you may never feel ready, and you may never feel motivated, and you may never feel confident, you may never feel courageous, and that's okay, but you can still push yourself forward. What happens over time is, as you start to see yourself becoming the person that takes action, you start to see yourself becoming the kind of person that speaks even though your voice is shaking. You're the kind of person that has a bias toward moving instead of a bias toward thinking. Guess what happens? You build the skill of confidence and courage. There's a 5-second window between the instincts, the shoulds, the urges, the inner wisdom, the things that can change your life if you listen to it. You've got a 5-second window from the moment you feel that instinct to move. And if you don't, your brain is actually designed to kill it. 5 seconds is all you have. The second you hesitate, and you feel yourself hesitating, that is a moment of huge power, because what's happened is you've just started to pull back from something that you need to lean into. So when you feel yourself hesitate, you're triggering your mind that something's up. Like Lewis didn't hesitate when he pulled on his pants. He didn't hesitate when he's drinking his coffee. He didn't hesitate when he walked out the door to the gym, but now he's hesitating to make that call. Your mind now goes into a cognitive bias called the spotlight effect. It magnifies whatever it was that you hesitated doing. And the moment, yeah, like all of a sudden you're like, hey, I don't feel like it. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll do it later. And your mind is doing it because your mind's trying to protect you. Hesitation signals a red flag to your mind that something's up. Just that small hesitation. It's a habit that we all have. Should you hesitate on making a phone call? No. Should you hesitate on speaking up in a meeting? No. Should you hesitate when you feel yourself starting to procrastinate and you know you got work that you should get done? No, you shouldn't hesitate at all. Should you hesitate in saying the thing that you really feel in your heart? No, you shouldn't. Should you hesitate and edit yourself when you're talking? No, you shouldn't. But we've all trained ourselves to. So it's actually this habit of hesitating. You start catching yourself. It's a huge moment of power because you have a decision to make, and you got to make it in the next 5 seconds. Are you going to go on autopilot and get trapped in your mind? Or are you going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and awaken your prefrontal cortex and drive forward?
Success does not come from making a few major important decisions correctly. And in fact, it's very much the opposite. The truth is, success happens when you make the smallest, seemingly easiest, apparently most insignificant decisions correctly, consistently, every day for a long time. Let me give you an example. If you have a burger today, you won't be unhealthy tomorrow. And in the moment, having one burger won't seem to matter. In fact, it doesn't really matter. And if you have a burger every single day this week, you probably still won't be unhealthy. But in a year's time, after eating a burger every single day, you'll be a burger. And we all make thousands of tiny decisions every single day, and these small decisions seem like they don't matter, but in fact, they are all that matters. And these small decisions compound over time to define who you are right now. And you are, right now, a product of the billions of unimportant, tiny decisions you have made in your life. And this idea is called the slight edge. And right now, when it comes to your health, finances, career, everything, the slight edge is either working for you or against you. And you'll find out in a year. And although it sounds simple to take control of these small, easy decisions, the reality is things that are easy to do are also very easy not to do. And for me, the way to take control is to have a very clear vision of who you want to be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and ask yourself in the moment, is this decision, browsing Instagram for hours, eating McDonald's, partying, going to move me closer to that person, or further away. And you have to have faith that there's something always working in the background for all of us right now that we cannot see.
We think in the short term, like, I'm not getting enough attention, I'm not being appreciated, I'm not getting paid enough. We think about all these minor concerns because we're worried it's gonna hurt us in the long term. And really that's just distracting us from doing the work that is ultimately the only reason anyone is remembered for anything. Yeah. What matters is, did you make something that stands the test of time, and did you keep working at it past when everyone else would have given up and said, like, it's on to the next thing, or, you know, I'll do this other thing because I can make more money or whatever. Like, you've gotta stay at it and stay at it and stay at it long past whenever the ego gets bored. You always want to be the harshest critic of your own work, right? Like, is this good enough? Am I saying something new enough? Is this original enough? You know, and am I pushing myself to be real and vulnerable and honest? Like, when James Altucher says you got to say the thing that you're afraid to say, no one else can hold you to that stand. Like, no one else can be like, oh, you're afraid to say that, because only you know what you're afraid of.
The truth is that you're never going to feel ready to make these changes. You're never going to feel like doing them, but you can always make a decision. That's always in your control. Staying with somebody that treats you like garbage is a decision. It is. Staying at a job that you hate is a decision. Staying in the body that you are not proud of is a decision. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not going to be easy to change. It's simple. Do a Google search and then use the 5-second rule to force yourself to do that stuff. Change comes down to 5-second decisions, and this is why the 5-second rule is important for everybody to know. It's your job to push yourself. And I don't care if you're Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or you're Michelangelo, or you're Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Hamilton, you will struggle with self-doubt. And everybody that you admire, everybody, and the list is the same for everybody. Oh, Oprah Winfrey, and I want to be like, Tom, and I want to be like, Branson, and I want to be like Jay-Z, and I want, like, everybody's list is Bill Gates. And do you know what those people do? They do not have the habit of hesitating. They trust themselves. None of us wake up and say, today is the day I destroy my life. What we do is we kind of check out because it feels overwhelming. Or we check out because we're afraid. Or we check out because we start listening to self-doubt. And then we make these teeny tiny decisions all day long. And we don't even realize it. Decision to not get up on time, a decision to not eat the right thing, a decision to snap at your kids, a decision to not speak in a meeting, a decision to not look for a job, a decision to not deal with your finances, a decision to not call your parents, like whatever it is. All day long, these tiny decisions that take you so far off track. And then you wake up like I did and you look at your life and you think, how the hell did I get here?
Success and failure does not happen in the moment. Everything is bleeding into everything else. So the bad decisions that you make today have a ripple effect that can last for weeks or months, okay? Let me give an explanation. Let's say that you fail to manage your time and you go to bed late. You get a bad sleep. Right off the bat, maybe you can catch a cold from that, or you can get sick. Then you can't get the things done that you wanted to get done because you had a cold or you're sick, or maybe you fuck up a social relationship. Then what happens is maybe you fuck up something with your work that creates some kind of financial problem. Unless you were born in a situation with a lot of opportunity, everything is gonna be tough, okay? Again, unless you were born in a situation where you have a lot of opportunity because your parents had money and raised you well, everything is just gonna be fucking tough. Where's the other choice? When you're at that point, what are your decisions? Let's stop and think about this. A, you're born into success. If you're born into success, lucky for you. Just follow the beaten path that your parents laid out for you, and you could probably be successful. But what happens if you weren't born into success? Pretty much, you're gonna have to fucking crawl through the shit for years and years and try to enjoy it as you do it and make something out of it. That's pretty much the decision. Or you can just stay in the shit. At a certain point, what you have to do is you have to look at your life and you have to say, do I accept this or do I not accept it? Okay, you have to look at that. And you have to make a decision. So look at your life. Now ask yourself, what direction is my life going in? Like, if I look at what I'm doing right now, what direction is this gonna lead me in? Like, there's no future where it's gonna get any easier. Do you guys get that? It's not gonna get easier. In fact, generally speaking, there's no this, okay? It doesn't stay the same. You're either going a little bit up, you're going fast up, you're going a little bit down, or you're going fast down.
Shitty things are going to happen to you if they haven't already, and I'm sure they have. Many tragedies have befallen every person in this room. And what I want you guys to recognize right now is thank God. Because those are the things that weed out the sick and the weak. Those are the things that weed out the people who they don't have the fortitude to see it through. And I'm here to tell you that something is the ability to endure. My ability to handle suffering, my ability to keep going when something is boring, my ability to learn a new skill long after everybody else has gotten over it and gotten bored and they are no longer interested, all I can see is its utility. And in seeing its utility and becoming obsessed with what that thing is going to allow me to do, I endure. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how painful it is, if it lives in service of my goals, I do it. And that was the one thing nobody could see. That was the one thing when I was a kid nobody could understand. The questions you ask yourself will determine the course of your life. I had been asking myself, what do I need to do to get rich? And it left me really unhappy. So I changed the question, and I started asking, what would I do and love every day, even if I were failing? The second law of thermodynamics is that everything moves towards entropy. Life is chaos. It takes an inhuman amount of effort to bring order to that, to find success in the middle of that. So while I cannot promise you success, I can promise you failure. I cannot promise you happiness, but I can promise sadness. So if you know those are the guarantees and the other things are the things that you have to strive for, you better be striving in service of something that in and of itself is interesting to you.
And so I was going through, I was just going through the motions of continuing to climb the ladder. And there were these guys who I really aspired to be like. And I had this whole plan laid out for myself, right? I was going to be a vice president by age 32, a senior vice president by age 35, a C-level executive by age 40, and then you're set, right? But as I climbed this ladder, I got closer to these guys and realized that many of them were kind of miserable. Yeah, they were on their third marriage. My boss had his second heart attack. I worked with a guy who was 30 years old. He was 3 years older than me, who had his first heart attack at age 30. And so, of course, what I tell myself, but I'll be different, right? I'm not going to be like those guys. But if you follow the same recipe, you're going to get the same pie that they've baked. And so I realized, you know what? I need to make some changes, but I don't know what. And then I realized I was so focused on so-called success and achievement, and especially on the accumulation of stuff, the trophies of success. Like, look at me, I have 2 Lexuses, and I have this, I have that, I have the bigger house, and
the golf membership, or whatever, you know.
Yeah, the racket club membership,
there
actually.
You go.
Yeah. And so I had these things, and here's the thing I want to get across. So there's nothing inherently wrong with stuff. We all need some stuff. The problem isn't consumption. The problem is this compulsory consumption. Buying things because that's what we think we're supposed to do. We've been sold this meme of the American dream. If you get this, then you will be happy, as if there is a template for happiness. And in fact, I think that's one of the bigger problems is we are chasing happiness. And for the longest time, that's what I did. I chased happiness.
Whenever we have our highest experiences of life, 2 things are involved. Some form of growth within ourselves and some form of contribution beyond ourselves. Yeah. I could ask 100 people, as I've done this with thousands, and they always tell me something where they faced the fear, overcame something, but also in doing it, it benefited their family or benefited somebody else, or like what you did with the building. Whenever I ask people the worst experiences of their life, they will tell me something, and it was all about them. Life's not about me, it's about we. And that's also why when people are suffering, it's always because you're obsessing about yourself. You're obsessing that something happened and now you have less. You think you have less. Right. Or something happened and you've lost something, lost love, lost money, lost significance, lost attention, lost something. Or because you did this or said that, or because I did something myself, I'm never gonna have something. Lost, less, never are the sources of suffering. When you get that all suffering is obsession with self, you can snap out of it, and all you have to do is stop expecting and start appreciating. You look around and appreciate things outside yourself, the people around you, your friends sitting across here, anything of that nature, and then starting to enjoy something. If you start to learn or grow from that, if you love, which to me is an action, if you love, if you give, if you're grateful, suffering disappears instantly. But you have to tell yourself the truth. The only suffering is in your mind. It's because this brain is not designed to make you happy. It's 2 million years old. It's designed to make you survive.
Trying to actually be grateful for what you have, things that you would have killed like a year earlier to have, as soon as you have them, all of a sudden you think about how they could be better. And I think you've written about this a lot, but gratitude is incredibly important, not just because it's what you owe other people, but it makes you appreciate what you have versus focusing on what you could have or don't have, which are egotistical things and also recipes for misery. Mm-hmm. I have a chapter in the book. There's this famous speech from John Boyd, and he would say this to every one of his young proteges. He would say, "To do or to be, being promoted and rising to responsibility and power and being recognized is not the same and is not as important as doing great work and affecting change behind the scenes." So it's like we become so obsessed with being promoted or being recognized or getting credit. Right. It's like people would rather be a bestseller than write an amazing book.
You got to figure out where you want to be this year, for the next 12 months. Figure out where you want to be and what you'd like to build for the future. So if you're not thinking about why you're doing something for this year and how it's going to support you for the coming years, then you're missing the point. You're always going to have to figure some new vision out every single year. So otherwise you're just doing random things and getting frustrated because you feel like you have no sense of purpose if you don't have a vision. So you're just randomly going through life if you don't have a vision. So again, a life without purpose is setting you up for a life of unfulfillment.